Now, speaking of video game launch lineups, the SEGA Master System came out. I just want to point out in my notes, because you guys are hoodlums, it says Super Mario Bros. Sucks. SEGA Master System, and there is now half a page of notes courtesy of Vince. The first thing on here is perfect.
I did not write the perfect.
Okay, well,
that
tell
was a
us
Mitch
about the
Dyer
SEGA
joint.
Master System, because clearly you've got some stuff to bring to the table in this one.
Yeah, so the SEGA Master System is interesting because it's technically speaking a way more powerful system on paper than the NES was, but of course its library was super weak compared to the NES. Now part of that you might say is because, like, I don't know, maybe they don't have as many at that point talented developers, they don't have a Shigeru Miyamoto on their side per se. But the other reason is because at this point, Nintendo still has these licensing practices where companies like Capcom and Konami, these big third parties who made a lot of great hits for Nintendo, they actually couldn't make games anywhere else. So that really limited what the Master System could have. That said, it still had a few big hits. Phantasy Star is
Phantasy Star was incredible.
Incredible by many people's ideas, the best JRPG of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of redefined or defined depending on how you would look at it, like the future of that genre as a whole.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like it did the kind of the future almost techno fantasy that Final Fantasy didn't start running with until like, you know, a decade or more.
Yeah, like maybe 6.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very ahead of its time in that way. Alex Kidd was visually way ahead of the curve
of where Mario was, and that was sort of like that was their initial. Sega's like, oh man, we need to do something to combat these Italian boys.
Yeah,
and so it was an Alex Kidd, and that's
just a kid.
Yeah,
an enchanted castle. I don't know.
Something or other. Yeah, you're right. The games do pop out visually, just that they have this distinct color palette to them, which was transferred over later. Like the hardware was really similar, weirdly enough, to the Game Gear.
Yeah, it was almost identical in a lot of ways. And what's crazy about that is that, interesting fact, once in 91, it's ruled by courts that what Nintendo is doing is against antitrust laws, and those floodgates open up. And there was actually Street Fighter II for the Sega Master System.
Oh, no way!
Wasn't in this country because the Master System was off shelves at that point here.
Wow!
But over
selling too much.
I don't. Apparently, right? It was unfair.
All 15 million of them.
Right, and the bulk of that 15 million, Europe. And get this, Brazil. Brazil.
Wow.
It didn't go into the Brazilian market until way late, until way after it left in North America. It sold, like, as of 2012, like 6 million units in Brazil, way more than the NES did.
I like the idea that Nintendo was just looking at a world map. They were like, I don't know, they could just have it. Like, Brazil's all yours, Sega. Like,
we concede Brazil.
Yeah.
And by comparison, like, 6 million there, 5 million, I think, in all of Europe. 1 million in North America.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that just again goes to show the power that Super Mario Brothers had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that was the thing where it's like, no, if you're playing video games, this is what you have. Yeah.
That's all. That's the end of my rant on the Master System.
That's very, very nice. You did a lot of notes here.